Hey,
What's happening?
all right. How are you, man?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, you're coming.
Perfect.
All right. So, let's see. I have a few topics ready for tonight,
Let's
but
do it.
I think we should start with the most important part: bacon.
Yes. I can't believe
Oh,
you don't like bacon.
I mean, I like bacon. I regularly make myself like eggs and bacon and shit, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's it's like eggnog, you know? It's okay. It's
Yes.
overrated. It's pretty good, but it's not that fantastic.
We might just have to agree to disagree, man, because I fucking love bacon. And it's not like eggnog because eggnog is like cum and bacon is not like cum. So
Well, I mean, on this side of the world, or at least in the Netherlands, we don't have the weird tradition of drinking eggnog with other booze. I
okay.
mean, eggnog is the creamy yellow stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't call it eggnog; we call it advocaat, um,
Okay.
which is Dutch for lawyer. There's no relation in any way, as far as I know, but that's just how it is. Um, no, we generally pour it over ice cream.
Okay. That's interesting.
It's pretty good when you pour it over ice cream. But then, I mean, any alcohol is pretty good.
That's very true.
Are you drinking anything specific at the moment?
No, at the moment I'm just drinking a glass of ice water because I'm allegedly still trying to work.
Allegedly.
Yes.
What kind of work are you doing, or allegedly doing?
Oh, I'm just, out there pushing product, lubing the deals, making sales, all that good shit.
Ah, so you're a drug dealer.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good to know. If ever I come to America and I need a new hookup,
Yeah, you
I
got the
know who to
connect right here.
contact. What state do I have to be in roughly for that to work?
Texas,
Texas.
the
Okay.
best country in the United States.
The best country. Fucking hell, man. How many states are talking about seceding? There's Texas that has been going on about seceding forever.
Well, I guess there's
Isn't
always that
there?
ongoing movement, like on the West Coast, right? And California was talking about splitting up into a couple of different states or three different states several months
Exactly.
ago. And I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, not enough for talking about seceding, but that's neither here nor there.
You're pro Texit?
I'm pro everybody sit.
Okay. That's. I mean, I can go totally get that from a libertarian perspective. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
thinking about the more practical consequences and problems with that. Looking at the wild success that Britain is having with their Brexit.
Have they even completed that yet, or did they just have the
No,
vote that said yes, we're going to leave, but then they never left,
they
right?
they have the vote, and Theresa May quit over it at some point. I mean, David Cameron also quit over it, but he
Okay.
like quit immediately. And then so now there's Boris Johnson who's trying to get it done, but he's also failing.
And this is like the English version of Trump, right?
Supposedly, yes.
Okay, like his long lost cousin or some bullshit.
Well, I mean, he's equally repulsive as a person, you know?
Yes.
I mean, say what you know about Trump, good or bad, but the guy is not pretty.
No. He's certainly physically revolting.
Yes. Same roughly goes for Boris Johnson.
Yes, I think Boris Johnson's a little more disheveled looking though.
Hmm.
At least a little put together, sort of.
The other day, actually, I saw some video of him and some other European leaders talking about some big European summit.
Yeah.
I just noticed how he's short, fat, and he's like all bent over. You know the kind of posture you get when you work in an office for 20 years, like the shoulders forward.
Yes, you're very well aware of this posture.
Yeah. So basically that posture. And on top of that, he's really fat and like he's not built in a good way, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah, that much for Brexit and Boris Johnson. Let's see. We have about an hour. I'm planning. I mean, you told me you had roughly an hour.
Yeah, about an hour.
So I plan on mostly bullshitting around, but I have some semi-serious topics to talk about as well.
Okay.
So actually, I think I'm gonna skip to the end of my subject and get straight into the semi-serious stuff.
Let's do it.
Concerning the LP, because I believe you also recently joined the LP, right?
I did, and I actually, on my desk, I just opened the envelope, which includes my LP membership card. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Is it a nice card?
I mean, you get what you pay for. Well, it's nice. It's black and gold. You know, it's got Lady Liberty on there, and instead of "We the People," it says "We the Members." That's it's okay.
That's okay. It reminds me that I was kind of bummed when I got my new credit card from my bank.
Yeah.
I used to have like a fancy black credit card with like silverish letters on it, and now it's just like a silverish credit card with also silverish letters.
Oh, that's
which feels much
unfortunate.
Less fancy.
Yes.
But yeah, the whole LP thing is kind of interesting because I've been watching from a distance, of course.
Sure.
And as I understand it, until like a few days ago, there were two main candidates for the new chair, right? Or in the race to take over the chair from Sarwalk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I don't know. I don't know much about. I think his name was Mike Shipley. Was like a third candidate. Yeah. I honestly don't know much about him. He seems like an okay guy. And then, of course, the Todd father, yes. Todd Hagopian.
Yes.
And then Joshua Smith. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I mean, I think, and really, I don't even know if Sarwark has decided that he's going to run again or not, right? Like, that's still kind of up in the air.
I haven't heard anything either about that.
That's what it sounded like. I mean, I joined to try and, do a thing and either get Todd or Joshua, elected to the chair, and then hopefully get the nomination for Jacob Hornberger. So other than that, I'm not really paying attention to all the bullshit politics. So I'm not really up to speed on who's running and who's not running. But yeah, I think that covers it. But then I don't, like I said, I don't think that Sarwark has decided yet. I don't know if that's I assume it's because of this, swell of support behind Joshua. Yeah. I know it seemed like he had that support last time around as well, but things didn't quite work out. But it seems like he's a lot more popular now. And, Nick has kind of backed off and said, well, fuck, if I can't beat him, then I'm just not going to run again.
That makes
so
sense.
I don't know if they're looking for somebody else to run in his place, or if they're just kind of bowing out and saying, well, fuck it, let the new guys have it.
That would be kind of interesting.
Either way, I support that.
For, I think if Sarwark wouldn't run and there wouldn't be a replacement candidate, I guess, for him, that would mean that Joshua would be running basically unopposed. I mean,
it seems like he would be a shoo-in. Yeah.
I mean, there's the other guy still, but he's not really a contender, let's say.
Right. And I know in some of the, they've had a couple of online debates and some little straw polls and things like that, and it seems like Joshua's winning those hands down. So
yeah.
It's like any other poll, though, right? You got to get people to actually show up and
of course,
go to the convention, be a delegate, all that bullshit. So it's who supports him versus who can actually vote for him and who's willing to vote for him. So
there's that.
I'm bolstered by the polls, but we'll see what happens come convention time.
Exactly. Around the polls, I believe those were done on Facebook as well.
Right.
And I'm fairly certain that the result would be very different on Twitter.
Sure.
And the result would probably be very different if they did it via landline or something,
Right.
So that's interesting. It's kind of weird to have a Libertarian Party where there's only one real guy running.
That's true. It always seems like there's a slew of people that are lining up to run for whatever it is.
Yeah. So because I got curious about this, I actually checked out the Dutch LP because it exists.
Okay.
But it seems that it doesn't really exist because according to the Wikipedia page, at least, they have seats nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
But is there a party structure?
Somewhat, I believe. I mean, they have a website. You can become a member. They have a chair and some board members, They even, when I checked, it was in November. They even had an agenda. Not that it covered much.
Okay.
It covered like
Yeah.
2 meetups or conventions in November, and that was it. There was no other plans.
Well, sounds like there's an ample opportunity for you to join and mount a hostile takeover.
Who knows? Who knows?
You could be the next big thing, man.
That would be interesting. Take over the Dutch Libertarian Party by shitposting on Twitter. Seems to work for Joshua Smith. So,
Hey, it worked for fucking Trump.
That is true.
He was the shit poster of all shit posters, and he fucking won the presidency of the United States. He's the most powerful man in the world.
Yeah, that is fucking crazy. I guess that goes to show how bad a candidate Hillary was.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm not saying you could run anybody against her, but she's so unlikable that it allowed. And the bad thing is, all that shit came out that they were actively pushing a Trump candidacy because they thought they could beat him.
Yeah.
And any other candidate probably could have beat him for the Democrat side, but she won, right? And so she is so repulsive to people, even her, like people who allegedly support her. Like, she's still so repulsive to people that she could not win over our, whatever the fuck his name is, Boris Johnson, right? Our version of him.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. It's weird anyway, the way that, I mean, this is like standard bullshit, but the way Americans only have 2 real parties that count.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, there's of course some more, but they don't play a particularly big role.
Sure. I mean, the LP at least has I don't know what all the rules are to get on ballots statewide. I know every state has its own rules, but I think the LP at least appears on all the ballots. And I know in Texas, I think we have, a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, and then I think Jill Stein probably appeared on ballots for the Green Party. Maybe like a Constitution Party candidate appeared. But there's some threshold that has to be met before you appear on the ballot, I believe. But more or less, it's a 2-party system, which is terrible, and it only exists because people just succumb to the binary nature of it. But
that's the weirdest thing. It's not that there's no other parties,
right.
But somehow people just reject the idea of any other party than Team Blue or Team Red.
Yeah, well, and I was in that camp for a long time too before I became what I am now.
I get that
when I was still a neocon and made the slide down into sort of constitutional conservative or whatever, where I was still just like, well, fuck it, I'll pull the red handle because it's the least bad candidate, and it was more like a vote against what I didn't want than a vote for what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And then it became I think when was it? I don't even remember. I guess it was in 2016 when Trump won. I think I voted. I think I wrote in, that shitbag CIA candidate more as a protest vote. I don't remember his name, McMullen, whatever the fuck that guy's name was. And then, in the midterm election in 2018, I decided I'm not going to fucking vote anymore. So now that I'm in the LP, I'll probably go vote for Hornberger. But I doubt I'll vote for any other candidate. Yeah. Maybe if there's some, constitutional amendments or something like that locally here in Texas, I'll probably vote on those. Right. And whatever the most liberty-oriented position is. Although I did just, I'm so, since I went full-blown anarcho-libertarian, I don't care enough to leave the house and go to the polling location. So we just had, the election here in Texas. There were some amendments to be voted on, and I couldn't bring myself to study up on it. I just said, fuck it. I'm going to do whatever I want to do anyway. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's I remember this is a couple of years ago by now, but at some point in the Netherlands, I believe it was only the Netherlands, we had a referendum about a particular Ukraine treaty. But it was weird because very few people actually knew what they were voting for.
That's typical.
Yeah, but I mean, even less than normally. It was not like, do we want Ukraine in the EU? Yes or no? But it was like an association treaty with Ukraine. So, like, do we want to be officially associated with them as the EU or not? It was nobody really knew what the fuck was going on.
Sure.
And then that led, after the next elections, to getting rid of the referendum entirely, which, I mean, on the one hand, it sucks, but on the other hand, the nature of the referendum as we had it was useless anyway, because it was not binding referendum, so there was no...
so it's just pointless.
Yeah, there was no legal rule or basis that the cabinet had to actually obey the decision made in the referendum, but was just an advising referendum, basically. Fancy poll, essentially.
Yeah, the people said they want to do this, but we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do anyway.
Yeah. Which is nice because they pretend to actually give a fuck, but still. Which was also kind of a bitch because the main party, once they became a member of the cabinet, that advocated, well, once they were in the government, once they were making the rule, they strongly advocated for getting rid of the referendum. That was entirely their initiative. But in the elections, one of their main points they ran on was being very pro-referendum.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually voted for that particular party in the last round of elections, so I kind of felt screwed there. But then...
Well, welcome to voting and government in general.
Yep.
Always feeling screwed.
Yep. But, I mean, voting in the Netherlands is a bit different in the sense that, first of all, we don't have a real president. We just have a prime minister. So there's very few actual executive decisions they can make.
Okay.
And secondly, we have a fuckload of parties. Like we have somewhere around 10 parties, I think, in parliament. And I believe there's a coalition of like 3 or 4 of them that actually make the cabinet. So to get an actual majority to be able to pass just about any law.
Lovely.
Yeah. On the one hand, it's kind of nice because it leads to a lot of compromise.
Sure.
And, well, at least here in the Netherlands, we very strongly believe in compromise. Have you ever heard of the polder model?
No.
A polder model, are you familiar with what a polder is?
I don't think so.
Okay, a polder...
So you might have to enlighten me on that first.
A polder is the area located, the dry area located behind a dike.
Okay.
So
like at the gay bar, that kind of dike?
Yes, exactly.
Or the one you have to put your finger in, which I guess works either way.
Let's just say behind the levee.
Yeah, there you go. Although
I suppose that also works either way, depending on the name of the dike.
Right.
Yeah, but so the polder is the dry area behind the dike that's supposed to keep several millions of people dry.
Sure.
And not the one that's supposed to keep one person dry.
Okay.
So the polder model is basically like talking or going into talks and not stopping until you found a solution that both parties are okay enough with that they can sign it.
Gotcha.
So just basically compromise until there's nothing more to compromise on.
Yeah, so it's just a typical negotiation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, try to find the win-win, at least for both sides, not necessarily the people, but for the two parties. Yes. Find the win-win and then put that forward.
Yes. But because we have a load of parties that are pretty much all over the spectrum, it generally leads to fairly okay government decisions.
Gotcha.
So with that out of the way, I'm not entirely sure where I was going with this anymore.
I don't remember either.
So I'm just going to jump in.
I'm sorry I distracted you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, this podcast isn't exactly meant to be professional or informative.
Oh, don't worry. Mine isn't either. Or maybe it's meant to be, but it certainly isn't.
I mean, I just kind of looked at the fat cast and a biting bullet and thought, you know what? If I take weird from the one and hammer drunk from the other, I think I have a good compromise here.
Yeah, it's your dry area behind the dike model.
Yes, exactly. But I had this whole conspiracy, which is without a doubt true, about members of the Libertarian Party, who they are and what their goals are. So,
okay,
the first part that's pretty well established is that Todd is also Bird, or more precisely, Bird is a character played by Todd.
Well, this is entirely possible. Although I do know that Bird has a New York phone number and Todd lives in Oklahoma.
Okay.
I have seen pictures of Todd. I have never seen a picture of, I've seen half of a picture of Bird, but it was blurry. It was posted a long time ago by Pete Quinones.
Okay, that's
so Bird wasn't entirely in the picture. So I can't say I've ever actually seen Bird. And every time I've been on a stream, he just has his avatar picture.
Yeah,
so
when I was there,
so I don't know what he looks like.
On the Fatcast, that was the same as well. Car was just actually on video call, but Bird was only on audio.
Right.
So I mean, we know from Bird's general Twitter feed and his appearances on his own podcast that him and Todd share some similarities. They're both short.
Absolutely correct.
They're both fat. They both have a funny voice.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is pretty convincing to me that they're already quite close, but there's more. You see, Bird has something that Todd has a lot of use for, which is a lot of clout.
Yes.
And Todd, obviously, is in the market for some clout because he's running for LP chair. He's not anymore.
Or was.
He was.
Right.
But, and we'll get there, I have a theory for that as well. And I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
So Todd is probably not actually named Todd. He's just a CAA plant of some sort. And
makes sense.
Yeah, he's there to gather support for himself or his platform to oust the current leadership, which, although not very competent, is probably not in the pocket of the CIA. Because why would the CIA oust the CIA, right?
Right.
So now let's leave that for what it is for a little bit and look at Bird's co-host, Carr. Now, based on some predictions Carr made a while ago that came true like an hour later in the form of Jared doing a thing. I don't exactly remember what it is or what it was, but just Carr predicted something, and then like an hour later, Jared did exactly that thing. So this means
interesting.
Yes, this means that Carr and Jared are most likely the same person.
Okay.
But there's more to this, because Carr/Jared are likely also the same person as Joshua Smith.
Interesting.
Yes. I am not entirely positive on the Carr-Jared connection, but I'm pretty positive on the Joshua-Jared connection. Because there's also an option that Carr is a cloud scheme from, what's his face? Pete Buttigieg?
Yes.
So Carr may or may not be a character played by Jared. But we know for sure that Jared and Joshua are the same person. Why? Well,
I would argue. Well, I'll let you finish your point. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, why? Or more like how? I mean, the why is obvious. Set up a successful podcast, get some clout, then join the LP, rally support for the LP and for a particular candidate, and then get that candidate elected and destroy the LP from inside out. Now. How did it work? Well, Jared's story. He joined the Marines, deployed to Afghanistan, became a libertarian at some point, and this is where the story kind of deviates from how Jared tells it. He likely did deploy to Afghanistan. Now, one of the other biting the bullet boys is or was in intelligence, right?
Sure.
Okay, so this guy probably has some CIA, FBI, NSA connection. So
Most likely.
Yes.
Once a Fed, always a Fed.
exactly. So Jared got recruited, worked his way up in the CIA, likely with the help of Pat from Uncensored Tactical. Now, this is also part of the conspiracy, but A, nobody has ever seen Pat, as far as I know. B, he used to work for the supposed Coast Guard, which in my first podcast that I talked about with Trent, he's of the opinion that the entire Coast Guard isn't real, which I think makes sense. Because at some point, Pat also said he had a secret clearance for like intelligence stuff. So this means Pat likely also knew some guys in the CIA, which means that Pat is now also a fairly high-ranking Fed, which got Jared recruited. That's how we get to Joshua. Do you have a bit of an image what I'm talking about here?
With the Joshua connection?
Yes.
So Joshua is a created character meant to take over the LP and destroy it from the inside.
Yes.
Am I tracking you? Yes.
And
see, so I have known people in the Coast Guard, and I have seen Coast Guard buildings and vessels. So now I am entirely convinced that the Coast Guard is a fake organization perpetrated by the CIA, and it's just a front. That's all it is. It's just a front. And I have met Carr on several occasions, and now I am entirely convinced that I've actually just met Jared. playing the character of Carr in disguise.
That is interesting, because that means that, Carr is a pretty intelligent guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as intelligent as a civil engineer could be.
Well, yes. He's clearly not a real engineer, just as he's not a real libertarian.
Correct.
Where was I going? On the Coast Guard, what Trent told me is he is an Army veteran, right? And at some point, when you sign up, there's like representatives from all the branches of the military that come by and try to sell you on their branch.
Sure.
Well, he never met any Coast Guard representative, I guess.
Yeah, recruiter. And neither have I. Yeah, I've met recruiters from the Army, from the Navy, Marines. I've never met a recruiter from the Coast Guard.
Exactly, which makes even more sense because an organization that is purely a front wouldn't need recruiters because everybody is...
Yeah, they already know who they want.
Yes, exactly, because everybody who works for the Coast Guard already has pretty high clearance. Like, they know what's going on. Or they're just really stupid. But that's another story. I've heard that, and I don't think he's particularly stupid. So, he knows what's going on.
Clearly a very senior level Fed.
Yes. So the reason it makes sense still for Todd and Bert to be the same person and then Todd to drop out is because now all of Todd's support, or at least the vast majority of Todd's support, will fall behind Joshua.
Right.
Which means that Joshua will be elected.
That's correct. Well, hopefully.
Likely.
Likely, yes.
I'm just going to assume this. So when he's elected, he is going to be all for gun control, all for, let's just call it opinion control. So, just limiting the First Amendment, just basically getting rid of all of the amendment. He's going to be a bigger cop than Sarwalk.
So how do we stop this?
Well, that's a good question. Well, first of all, listen to my podcast. Because I'm out here speaking the truth. And nobody else is willing to. So that's one. Two is, recreational nukes.
For everyone.
Yes.
A nuke in every backpack.
I think I told Nate this once. Guns and rifles are overrated. Everybody should just walk around with a bomb vest. Because if everyone walks around with a bomb vest, society will suddenly become very polite.
Absolutely. And no one would bump into me anymore either.
Exactly. Everybody would watch their step.
More importantly, yes.
No more stepping on snakes. maybe we should arm snakes with bomb vests as well.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many snakes you have over there, but we have quite a few here in Texas, so I might not go for that. That's a lot of fun. Bombs.
We have no real snakes. We have a few pretending to be human, but
Yes.
I suppose those exist over there as well.
Yes, lots of reptilians.
Now let's see. How do we stop this? Recreational nukes, bomb vests. Don't vote LP. Don't vote Republican. Don't vote Democrat. Maybe just like blow up the CIA headquarters, like completely. Just level it. I think that would make the world in general a better place as well.
Most likely.
Maybe vote Putin. I'm not entirely sure how that would help, but I'm sure it would. Let's see. Do I have anything more on conspiracies? Not really. Well, I mean, let's not ignore the fact that the other two biting the bullet boys are also in on this whole thing.
Well, are we even sure that they're separate people, or are they all being played by Jared?
Not entirely, but
okay.
I think that if one person has to play Jared, Gar, and Joshua at the same time,
right,
that's quite a lot already. If he's now also having to play another two characters, that's going to be quite a lot of work.
Well, I think it's quite possible that all of these people, whether it be Bird, Carr, Jared, Luke, or Typo, are all sort of like al-Baghdadi, right? It's just the CIA. It's the CIA created personality,
right?
Who is at certain times played by different people, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's so you think that basically all the biting the bullet holes, Pat from Uncensored, Tactical, Bird, Carr, they're all just kind of roles or creations.
Yes, they're all fabricated personas.
Right, a bit like James Bond, where it's more of a code name,
right,
than an actual individual.
Yeah, so instead of Carr, it's actually like 0069 or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. What I was thinking is that this is not only the CIA. I mean, the CIA is doing most of the work here, of course, but because
sure.
Who else than the CIA is working to subvert all kinds of shit? But I think at least with the biting the bullet, they have 3 hosts. So probably there's one FBI guy there, and probably like an NSA or Homeland Security kind of dude. They're more for monitoring and maybe arresting than for actual subverting.
Gotcha. So this whole thing is set up as like some sort of CIA, FBI, NSA honeypot to lure in hapless anarchists and libertarians like ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And set us up for arrest.
Yeah. And it makes total sense as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, anarchists and libertarians and such are a particularly annoying group for the CIA and just like the feds in general to deal with. Because...
Well, and even for other libertarians as well.
Yeah,
so.
Because think about it. They dislike the government very strongly. They're generally quite well armed. And they're constantly talking about kicking up shit, like kicking up armed revolt.
Right.
They very rarely actually kick up armed revolts, but I mean, they are awfully, ready to join in, let's say.
Sure. Fast followers.
Yes. So this is not a good group to have if you're the CIA or whatever. You're
sure.
regular Republican or conservative. It flies the Gadsden flag, but at the same time also the thin blue line. Like they'll don't mind if you step all over them. Just don't take their whiskey and then have a crazy conservative man every once in a while say that they're a good boy, and they won't bother you.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, socialists are not going to do much either. I mean, Antifa are clearly willing to take action, but they're such pussies they couldn't beat up an old man with the 5 of them together.
Right.
So, they're nothing to be worried about. Regular Democrats are absolutely nothing to worry about. I mean, they'll get a massive boner and thank you for your service if you say that you're an NSA agent that spent 30 years listening to other people's conversation.
Right.
I mean, what else is there, really? Fascists, communists? I mean, nobody cares about those. They just want more government.
We don't really have too many of those anyway. Yeah.
So they're no real threat to the Fed, which is...
I'm fully... I was dubious at first of your theory, but I am fully involved now. I think this is highly accurate.
I know. I have thought about this. This is, you need to have a bit of perspective from the other side of the ocean to know what's going on. But I'm glad I was able to convince you. Now that we know this, I think this might be the exact knowledge that we need to kickstart the Boogaloo or the Ice Cream Social.
There you go.
Or the Burlington Coat annual employee Christmas holiday party.
Yes.
So, and that was the other topic I wanted to talk about, potential Boogaloo animals. Because, I mean, people, if you say about or talk about animals in combat, people generally think of dogs, right? Drug-sniffing dogs or even attack dogs, like the police use quite a few of. Well, that's all nice and good. But first of all, I think they're overlooking the kind of dogs that can be used. I think there's quite a bit of potential for, let's call them tactical assault chihuahuas.
Okay. Tax, if you will.
Tax, yes. Beautiful. If you think about it, chihuahuas are small, but they're fucking vicious, right?
Yes.
So.
Yes, definitely an ankle biter.
Yes. Well, what if you could throw a chihuahua, get it roughly at face height, and just like chew an entire dude's face off?
It's like a furry grenade.
Yes, exactly. So
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I know, right? So you get a little chihuahua farm together, pump them full of Chinese steroids, because they need to be a bit angrier still and a bit strong, because at this point, even a real angry chihuahua can be swatted away like a fly. But think about this: a roided up chihuahua, and then you're going around either with your entire tactical vest with pockets and all the shit, or just in your Burlington coat with deep pockets. I mean, you can keep at least two of those things in each pocket. So
yeah, they'll fit.
Yeah, exactly. You run across a Fed or some guy on PCP who just raided some CIA storage, and he's coming at you. So what you do is you grab one from your pocket and you just throw it at him, and there you go.
And even if it's not a successful bite, it will at least create a diversion for you to either get away or make a kill shot.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. So that's one. Then, based on the Iraqi protests, I saw a picture the other day of a guy with a lion on a leash.
Yes. Yeah.
You saw the picture.
Massive wide dick energy with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I saw that picture. That's great.
So I think or at least as soon as the Boogaloo kicks off, the Bujihari need to find their way to the nearest zoo as soon as possible, because there's all.
I believe this is a good strategy. Yes.
Because there's probably quite a bit of food.
Yes.
I mean, even if the animal food is not good, most zoos also have a restaurant, and restaurants generally have quite a bit of food on storage.
Right.
I mean, there's probably actually a bit of ammo, in case some gorilla goes wild or some dumb fucking mother drops her child into the gorilla enclosure.
Right, and probably some tranquilizers as well.
Exactly.
Either for your assailants or yourself if you like to party.
Exactly.
Either way.
That's a good point, because we all know that that in Boogaloo, drugs will be in short supply.
Yes.
So that's indeed a good idea. There's probably loads of ketamine there, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, it would be great to get stuck in a K-holder in the Boogaloo. I mean,
that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, not good for safety, but,
Oh, well.
Like I said, if you're looking to party and have a good time, what the hell?
Yeah. But there's loads of useful animals, as I said. So you have your attack chihuahuas, which you probably actually most likely won't find in zoo, but, who cares? Find them somewhere else or breed your own. Can't be that hard.
Sure.
So then you have your lions, which is quite useful. Now, if you have a nice and big zoo, there's probably a hippo as well.
Sure.
I mean, we all know.
Very vicious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all know not to fuck with hippos.
Yep.
I believe that in parts of Africa, those things are the leading cause of death. So
I believe that's also true. Yes.
I don't think that, if some Africans that are used to the pressures, I guess, of living around hippos can't properly deal with them. I don't think your average pudgy fat boy can deal with them.
I would agree.
Exactly. Other than that, you've got all kinds of amazing animals. You've got probably quite a few birds, which can be used as messengers.
Yes.
Which, I mean, even if they're shot, it's not an actual person that gets shot. So, less casualties on your side.
They're expendable.
Exactly. And even some of the animals that I imagine are less useful, say alligators, because, I mean, alligators are vicious, but they're also fucking lazy.
Yes.
So, I mean, unless they're real hungry or real pissed, you're not gonna have much use for them. But you can probably shoot one, and then you have food for days.
Sure.
And I mean, alligator meat is an actual dish, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I ate it.
Highly recommended.
Yeah? Do they sell a lot of it in Texas?
Yes. So the closer you get to Louisiana, the more of it you see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had like one small plate of it when I was in New Orleans. It was pretty good, but it was expensive as fuck.
Yeah, it's good. It's not the cheapest dish, and if you can find it, it can be a little tough.
Yeah.
I find the tail meat to be a little tougher than the quarter, like a leg meat kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if prepared properly and then fried, it can be quite a delicious treat.
Would you say it's comparable to chicken?
I think it's better than chicken.
Interesting.
Yeah, chicken's a little bland.
Yeah.
So I like alligator better.
That makes sense. But I mean, in like texture-wise, because there's let's say a very clear difference between beef and chicken. Like they're totally not the same kind of meat.
Yeah.
So is that the same for alligator, or is alligator meat still more like chicken meat?
I think if you get it really tender, it's a little more similar to chicken.
Okay.
Mouthfeel wise,
Right.
but again, it's in a tougher cut. It's sort of like a combination of the two.
Right.
So it's sort of light in the mouth like a chicken, but a little, like sort of like a gristly piece of beef if it's too tough.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it could vary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anyway, I'm pretty sure it's like probably full of protein or something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is important. I
Sure.
would estimate that in a boogaloo type situation, you would need a protein-rich diet.
I would agree.
So let's see, what else do we have? Animal-wise in the zoo, there's lions, other big cats. I mean, big cats can just be used to like fuck up people in general,
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, if you could find a nice attack mountain lion or an attack cheetah, that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be cool. Even, let's see, is a mountain lion the same thing as a puma?
More or less.
Okay, well, I mean, I suppose even so mountain lions, pumas, they're not the biggest cats. They're pretty vicious.
Pretty strong for their size, yeah.
Actually, I think even, chickens are a pretty good bet.
Sure.
Like, take a chicken and pump it full of steroids and just, throw it at a guy.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if you go to the east side here in Houston and you find yourself some fighting chickens, right? Strap a couple of razor blades. Yeah. A couple of razor blades to the spurs and just let them loose. Yeah.
Yeah, those things will fuck a guy up, man. Holy shit.
Absolutely.
That is a good one. Let's see. Well, I'm pretty much through all of my subjects. Is there anything else you have in mind at the moment that's fun to bullshit about?
No, I got nothing else, honestly.
All right. Well, perfect. Then we're almost at an hour, so it's a good time to wrap this up.
Yeah, it worked out well.
Yeah, that went smooth. Well, thank you for coming on. And where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MattyK from PA. Also follow the podcast, Erase the State. You can find that on all your major podcatchers. Please follow my co-host, Mikey Two Names. That's MIKEE, the number 2 names. That's about it. We bullshit on Twitter a lot, and we we intermittently release podcasts. So just please subscribe, and you'll get it whenever they come out. Tell some friends about it. We need to up the numbers, and listen to this one.
Yeah.
Please go listen to this podcast. So if anybody catches me that listens to Erase the State on here, just please subscribe to this one too.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This will come out not this Thursday, because this Thursday I have a talk coming out where I talk with a technocrat, which is
nice,
interesting.
I'll be looking forward to that
awesome. It'll be published 7 a.m. my time, so like the middle of the night your time, but it'll be
sure
available whenever, basically.
Gotcha.
So this will come out next week Thursday, and then the week after that I have a talk with Weather Girl.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then after that Pat has already said he wants to come on. When we talked roughly a week ago, he said I'd have to hit him up again in 2 weeks, and then Joshua, everyone's favorite CAA plant, actually expressed interest in coming on as well. So
nice.
Can all look forward to that.
That'll be awesome. Maybe you can ambush him with with your theory.
Well, he's entirely aware of my theory. I've tagged him in multiple Twitter threads talking about it now. But he'll have to defend himself for my very hard question. So that will be nice.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be a good one too. And those are all people that I need to get on my show as well. I haven't reached out to Joshua. I've talked to Pat about it a couple of times, and I'm really bad at scheduling. So.
Look, if both Pat and Joshua are willing to come on my podcast, they're absolutely willing to come on yours.
There you go.
So thank you again. MattyK on Twitter, Erase the State on Spotify, all other podcatchers. Mikey Two Names, who is also a person. Let's see. You can find me on Twitter under @Polsidopol and on Keybase under Keybase/Polsido, and also in my Discord, but you have to ask. So thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. Peace.
Houdoe.